Yeah, so I don't really remember a specific incident where it happened. I was wrestling a kid from John Stark, my first match of the day. Um, we were wrestling. I got off the mat and my finger kind of hurt, my middle finger on my left hand. It's kind of a little sore. I thought I had just jammed it at the time, and it was a little red, but not like, it wasn't swollen at all. And then, so I taped it, wrestled my next match, and then, like, as time went on, it kept getting more swollen, and it get worse and worse. So then I just put more tape and more ice, and then by the end of the day, it was probably double and a half the size of my other finger, and like the whole back of my hand started to swell up, and it was all purple. And so I woke up the next morning, it was even more swollen.
Jackson Hall was probably the MVP of the day. Broke his hand, and the first match didn't think about it and just wrestled all the way to third. Like, you can't. I don't know how you can ask for a better day than that. If he got first somehow, I guess that's the only way to top that. But even then, like, it's unbelievable stuff.
I mean, I think it shows just how tough we are as a team and how hard we work. Jackson was out there, broken hand, wrestled through, and ended up beating the kid that actually broke his hand at the very end of the tournament. I think that just shows we're a tough team, and no matter what, we're going to push through it. And I think we're all very proud of Jackson for doing that.
Not too many kids are as tough as that kid. I think some of the kids in the school are just tough as nails. Not too many kids that would break their hand would probably just step out and just be like, all right, I'm done for the day. I just broke my hand. But no, like, he went through the whole entire tournament and placed third. So that just like goes to like recap about our mentality on the team. Like, even though we're hurt, like we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going until either we get pinned on our back, we get even hurt even more to the point where we can't even wrestle. But we're not going to give up. Like, if you smack us in the face, we're just going to keep going. So that's almost the Bo mentality.
During the tournament, I had no idea he hurt his hand. But looking back on it, that was like, one of the first matches of the day. And he wrestled the entire day pretty much. I think he ended up placing like 6th place. Like, he wrestled all day. And I respect it. I mean, he was able to continue to wrestle with a broken hand and able to get some wins out of there. It shows he's a tough kid, and he shows that he's ready. And I fully expect him to come back, hopefully this season, and be able to win. And if it comes to next year, he'll be ready.
I mean, the adrenaline helped a lot. It definitely would hurt a lot more if I was to start doing the same stuff right now. But it hurt, and there's plenty of moves that I tried to run and I couldn't run just because of the pain. But I kind of had to switch up my game plan to, all right, this move doesn't require me to use my hand or like my left hand or arm. So I kind of had to figure that out on the fly when I was wrestling, and kind of had to almost change up my style of wrestling because of that.
It's definitely not ideal. It sounds really cool. It's going to be a cool story when he graduates, and if he ever comes back to the program, he can talk about what being tough looks like. It looks like Jackson Hall wrestling through with a broken hand. So the future story is really cool. The current position is not ideal, because now we have to bump up either Chase or Joe up to the 182 spot. Both of them are more than equipped for that, and we've had that conversation, but Jackson's just been the guy at that weight class, and he's finally, I think Wednesday's loss against Mascoma really, pushed him, and he lifted extra hard, he ran extra, he did extra things to make sure come Saturday he, put everybody else back on notice, and then just have it ripped away from him. Like, it sucks. Like, no better way to say that, but he'll return, he'll recover, and if it's not this year, I know he'll be working.
It's hard losing a good wrestler in the room, like, as a practice partner.
I'll help with whatever. I'll help set up mats, roll out mats, score keep, set up chairs. I mean, anything that I can do to keep my part. Like, if kids need any critiquing on something, I can help them with that. But really, whatever someone needs, I can do as long as my hand permits.
I finished again. You can't. It's a really tough tournament. There was over 20, I think 24 teams in total. So to finish 5th out of there is pretty impressive. And then to only come behind for New Hampshire teams, Concord and Keene. I don't have a lot of criticism to that. We've talked about Concord before, but Keene's again one of those teams that's Division I, and they're a force to be reckoned with up there. So the fact that we're only so many points behind them is pretty huge, and then to come in behind a Vermont team and a Maine team is pretty impressive as well. To see, where does both stack up compared to these out-of-state teams? 'Cause right now, as it stands right now, Adler is still in control, quote unquote. All right, we've been yelling this thing all year long, saying 1, not 2. Okay, does anybody not know what that means? Raise your hand. Okay, that means you're in position to give up 2 points instead of giving up 1 point. 1 point. What is more points, 2 points or 1 point?
2.
Okay, so we don't math.
Not a reversal. Let him have an escape.
Let him just get 1. All you do is just back away from him. Let him get 1. Reset. I understand you're not having a lot of good time being neutral, but in the long scheme of a match, let him get 1. All right. That's why we say, hey, if it gets funky, let him up. 1, not 2. Let him up.
So it's a pretty big deal to me. It's gonna set for what's gonna show in the state tournament. It's gonna determine who's gonna be in the higher seedings and all of that. So this is gonna be a very important goal meet for all of us. And personally, I know I'm ready, and I hope the team can say the same.
Looking forward to it. I'm ready to show them what for, I think our team's going to do really great against them. I'm excited to see how it turns out, excited to see how every match plays, looking at a couple of our kids and a couple of theirs. There's going to definitely be some very solid matches, and a lot of points are up for grabs. You can look at these matches and it's this could go either way. I don't know.
Like the big week this week, we have Plymouth coming in, and I've already touched on it before. Nobody expects us to do anything with this. All right, nobody expects us to win. Nobody expects us to even put up with a fight from where it feels like all around. Okay, that got me thinking all right, what's a good underdog story? And there's this fighter named Mickey Ward. He's from Lowell, Mass. They went in a movie about him called The Fighter. It doesn't touch on this fight, but he's fighting this guy named Arturo Gatti back in the early 2000s. Again, very small, big underdog. Nobody expected him to. I think the line was Gatti knocks him out in the 4th round or something like that. Okay, and it becomes the greatest boxing fight of all time. So.
From up the road in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Mickey entered the ring first, getting big cheers from fans who had made the drive 100 miles south from his hometown. The favorite came right after, with his camp looking forward to seeing a new kind of caddy.
Or what's the greatest round you've ever called, or what's the greatest thing you've ever seen in boxing? And the answer is Gatti Ward won, round 9. I think that'll always be the answer.
Ward ended up winning the fight on my split decision. They fought 2 more times. Gatti won the next one, and then Gatti took the trilogy overall. Yeah. I guess the biggest part of this whole thing, guys, is you have to be ready to fight. And you have to be ready for them to want to fight you as well. All right? It's not going to be easy. All right? It already hasn't been easy. We've already most of us in here already been put in the test of how far do you want to go? How far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to push yourself for you, for your family, for your team, for your school, for your coaches? What are you willing to do? And that has to be the mindset from now until you step on that mat against Plymouth. It's got to be the mindset. And it's not just one person. It has to be every single one of you. And when you do that, and you make that conscious decision to go out there and do whatever it takes to be victorious, lose by decision, not get pinned, fight through, I guarantee you, you walk off that mat, and everybody will have that same emotion towards you that you're tough. That's what it's going to come down to, guys. Be tough.
I think it's a great thing that they come in. Plymouth has always been a big rival of our school, so we always have that rivalry. It could be hockey, it could be football, it could be soccer, it could be basketball. So I think them coming to our home is, again, to cap on, we have home mat advantage. We have our fans, we have the students that come in. But we also, as a wrestling team, as a collective group, got to stay humble as well going into the matches, because you never know what can happen. If you're too cocky, then you're gonna get you're gonna underestimate a kid, and then he can whoop you. So you just gotta stay humble. You gotta know what you want to work for. You gotta strive for it. And this week's gonna be a hard week, and we know that as a team. So we just gotta work even harder if we really want to beat Plymouth going into this week.
Definitely from the upperclassmen on the team, I'm definitely feeling that a lot. Kind of feeling that, and then I think they're kind of breeding that into the underclassmen too. Because coming as a freshman, or me and the underclassmen as well, we don't really know as much about that because we're just kind of getting into high school and kind of learning what that kind of situation is like. But I can definitely feel and kind of see what they mean just from like watching and seeing how those upperclassmen talk about it.
This is the duel of D3s. Plymouth has always been the powerhouse in D3. It's happened since the division was created. It has always been Plymouth. Very few and far in between teams have been able to compete with them. In the last 3 to 4 years now, Bo has been the team to always kind of compete with them. And this year is going to be no different. Like I said before, you always try to measure yourself against the guy that's like in front of you, and that's the measuring stick right there is Plymouth. So to get these guys in the right mindset to be able to go out there and be willing to go out there and lay it all on the line, win or lose, that's the biggest goal right now. And going over the video we just went over and seeing like them locked in, I think that's what they're willing to do. I know not a lot of people think we can pull it off, but if there's a group of guys in this state that I have to choose from, I'm gonna choose my guys 10 out of 10 times and do so. Again, nothing but respect for Plymouth. It's just they're the measuring bar, and they know that, and they practice hard, they are coached hard. We're just trying to go get what they have, and nothing better than that. Good, healthy competition.
If they don't recognize that and start picking up the pace, it's going to hit them like a brick wall. I mean, our entire team needs to be ready for what's happening on Wednesday, and if they're not, we're going to pay for it.
Josiah Funches from Bow. Ben Valenti from Plymouth. Nossman from Plymouth.
Definitely didn't represent like how close those matches were. I'm not just saying this from a perspective of like, it's my team, so I'm gonna feel this way. I think it's just, if you were at that meet and you know how good Plymouth is compared to how green but tough we are, you see that we're finally starting to figure it out. I said it before and I've said it 1,000 times, Plymouth is a top tier program in this state. So to be able to hang with them and be able to do the things that we did, winning or losing, have a couple guys lose by 1 or lose by 3 to returning state champions or runner-ups in the state, and some guys who move on to New England is a huge W for this program.
Personally, I would have liked to win the meet. It left a bad taste in my mouth. I wish we were able to pull through with it. But I think it was a good way to see where the whole team was at. I think we competed pretty well and better than what most people would have thought. But I know we can do better, and I know that that's a very beatable team. And if we just put in the extra work over this next month, and when it comes down to states, I think we'll be ready.
I mean, considering the fact we're already starting down 18 points, Plymouth has a full lineup, we're kind of in this mentality, like we're already down, we need to work harder to get back up. So everyone's kind of ripping and ready to go. Obviously everyone wrestled really tough, but I think we were at the point in our matches where if we can just have a little bit more skill, a little bit more experience, maybe push a little further in our matches, it could have gone either way for us, because almost all the matches were very close, and it was a teetering on the edge of Plymouth or Bow. And at the end, Plymouth ended up coming out on top, but I think we were very close and everyone wrestled very well.
I think it's a really good eye-opener for us. I mean, thinking we can hang in with these guys, but then again, we're giving up 18 points, but realistically, we're not going to give up. 18 points, so what? What can we do to bounce back? How are we going to move forward? 18 points for us is realistically okay, we got to bounce back. We are on our backs right now. So it's good motivation for those, for the people that are up and wrestling on the varsity, so they step up and wrestle even harder because they know that we're already down by 18. It's not going to be easy, and we're going to have to fight for it.
We're going to see them down the line. Of course, that's the team that you're always gunning for. But I rely on the moral victory of it. We were going out there to hopefully score some points, get some wins, or at least show how tough we are and see where we're at. And I think we did that tenfold.
100%. Watching my teammates in practice and seeing how they reacted after Plymouth and even after Saturday and all these different things, everyone's okay, a month away from states, everyone wants to pick it up, everyone wants to work really hard, and I think everyone's in that mindset to really drive and get to that point where we can win those matches where it's either or.
During film today, we were able to look over some things from that meet specifically, and as a team, we were able to pick out some things that we can work on and what we can improve on for matches against those kids again.
You can't underestimate some of these kids in Division III, because even though you beat him last Wednesday at a dual meet and then you see him in a tournament the next weekend, he can still beat you. I mean, it's happened to me. I mean, I beat one kid, met him at a tournament, and he beat me. So, I mean, you can never underestimate these kids in Division III because they can just turn around so fast.
Anytime we get to, there's stages to wrestling. I think I've talked about it all year. There's November wrestling, which is just learning how to wrestle. There's December wrestling and figuring out what you're good at. There's now January wrestling, where you know what you're good at, you know what you're bad at. How do you mold the two together and figure it out? with the start of our year coming against Plymouth and being able to compete with them like that is a really good way to start off the year and start off January wrestling. Now this becomes the point of the year where everything's a grind. You hear 31 days, you're like, oh, that's not that bad. But what do you look like when there's only 24 days left or 23 days left, when time starts slowing down? Because some of these kids, most of these kids are new, but like the time really starts to slow down. With that being said, though, it's also going to accelerate just as fast because we're going to blink and it's going to be here. We have to be okay with getting in our time, because we're going to start shortening some time up, but being way more intense with it. And it's what you do with the less time and being more intense. And I think that's what's going to really tell where our team's at mentally and wrestling.